Hello, welcome to this video. I'm Lee. This video where I display numerous mistakes in the booklets of UK Now albums. Now that's what I call music compilations. These are the ones that I remember. But before I even get into to what that means as such, I think some context is needed right from the off. So I've spent my whole life sort of building a collection of Now CDs ever since I was sort of 6. My first one was Now Decades in 56 after that, and then using Pink Planet Games Exchange and charity shops and boot sales and all those sort of things, I really built a big Now library by the time I was sort of like 10, about 2007, and that's when I decided I wanted to complete all the ones I didn't really have, because up to that point I had a lot of the Now 40s, everything after that, and a few of the early ones, Now 26 and 32. But in 2007, I decided I wanted at least all of them in one format or another. And my dad helped me with that on eBay for birthdays and Christmases, sort of completing that library in some sense. And then when I was about 11, or I was 11, I discovered the Now forums, which is sadly no longer there. But I really wanted to join, even though I was a bit too young to join. But they were discussing things like booklet mistakes in Now albums, and artists which appear more than once on the same edition, or songs which appear on more than one edition, and all these sort of nerdy things where I had my own exemplar that I wanted to share. I really wanted to contribute. That's where the fascination with the booklet mistakes began. So if you're familiar with the main UK Now albums, the UK editions that is, and not spin-off series like Now Dance or special editions or whatever, they're done in a way in the booklet where each song has its own write-up with an image of the artist or the sleeve or something. And that's where a lot of the mistakes arise. So spelling errors, formatting errors, miscounting, whatever. So this video is going to focus on the ones of those that I remember. I'm not going to focus too much on sort of grammatical mistakes or stuff like that, because I don't think that's that interesting. And besides, I think there's quite an eclectic array of sort of goofs and errors in the booklets and artwork of Now albums anyway. Sort of different things going wrong, which hopefully will make this quite niche subject quite interesting. So in a sense, this is a tribute to all those names I remember from the old Now forums that kick-started my interest in this all, like Gemini Phoenix, Jessica, Shaky Fan, Luciano, Johnny 1989. Tribute to all these old names that I've not thought about in quite a while. And here I am contributing to the discussion all these years later, 13 years later. So released in late 1984, cassette copies of Now 4 have a mistake on the inlay if you open tape 1. As you can see, there's a whole thing here about complete your collection, and it advertises the other albums that you can buy on vinyl, and also the VHS compilations. But here it says, also available, the best of Now 1984 compact disc. But really there is no such CD with that name. What it's actually referring to is the Now 4 CD, which was the first ever Now CD released. And for me as a Now collector when I was a lot younger, was the holy grail of Now. It doesn't have the same track list as the vinyl and cassette versions like you see here. Rather, it's a single disc 15 track collection featuring tracks from all three Now 1984 editions. So Now 2, Now 3 and indeed Now 4. So essentially, yes, it is a best of Now 1984 CD. But it isn't called Now, it isn't called the best of Now 1984. It's just Now 4. It's ostensibly the same album as the cassette you have in your hands here, even though it isn't really. I don't have it to show you, but Queen's A Kind of Magic appears on Now 7 from 1986, which was vinyl and a cassette. But it's at the end of side 3, midway through the second disc, but it was sort of a last minute bonus track, and it was too late to actually amend the artwork at that point to include it. So the song's not mentioned anywhere on the artwork, which says that the album has 32 tracks, but indeed it's 33. Because of what is essentially a hidden track, I guess. What happened instead was a sticker was added to most editions saying bonus track Queen A Kind of Magic, but that's all the sticker says. So it doesn't say in the track listing where the song actually appears. So if you buy a second-hand copy, the sticker might not even be on it. So onto the CDs now, and into late 1987, this is Now 10. The last track on CD 2 of Now 10 is Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues and Kirsty MacColl, a few weeks before it peaks at number 2 in the charts. And I know I said in the intro I wasn't going to focus too much on misnames and stuff, mistitling, but they've got it as A Fairy Tale of New York when it's just Fairy Tale of New York. They've put an A there that isn't meant to be there. And they've split the word fairy tale into two. And it's like this at the back of the booklet as well, A Fairy Tale of New York. But not in the write-up. At the end of the booklet, they've gone for Fairy Tale of New York. So they've still split the word fairy tale while missing the A. So they can't even be consistent with their incorrect naming. Summer of 1993, now 25. And this is a strange one, because a lot of the pictures in the booklet are really bad quality. They're really pixelated. I don't know if you can tell. Strangely pixelated, and some don't even fit the black outlines completely. You can see it really clearly on some of them, like REM. They just look all robotic. Very strange. In fact, there are very few here that appear to be in any good quality. The Doreen picture's good. OMD looks alright. But yeah, some of them are just really, I don't know what happened here. Some sort of strange printing error, but it's made people all look sort of robotic, pixelated. And here on the booklet, you can see that the now logo, the whole Now 25 logo, is really sort of processed, whereas on the actual front of the case, it looks perfectly fine. See what I mean? In the there, it's all lovely and smooth, all the lettering and all the edges, and here it's all jagged. So I don't know what happened with this one, but strange mistakes. There's quite a simple spelling mistake on Now 26. So CD2 track 16 is Wish by Soul to Soul. But if you actually open to the booklet, to the write-ups, and skip to CD2 track 16, you can see they've spelled October without a B. So it's Wish is the new Soul to Soul single, due for release on 25th October 93. Now 32 from late 1995. And CD1 track 14 is by Cast. The booklet image that they use for them is clearly mirrored. Here we are, and you can tell because the guy's done shirt is clearly mirrored. It's weird how this happened. I mean, surely they didn't deliberately flip it. Maybe it was an error after the page had been designed or something, and it'd already gone to print, who knows. Into 1997 now, with Now 36. And there's a few pages in the booklet where the write-ups aren't all on one page, to let the next line accidentally appears on the next page. So if you go to the end of CD1 for 911, you can see, followed the previous success, blah, 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 from the album The Journey. And it's not like they were pressed for space either. Surely they could have just aligned all this up, so that line could have appeared over here. But oh well. But then a similar thing happens with CD2 track 5 Monaco, where there's a weird thing here where this clearly should have been on this line, so Pete Hook and singer David Potts, and they make a right good racket too, so that should have been on the previous page. There's a strange one with Now 37, which isn't in the booklet at all, but actually stares at you from the front. So the back cover correctly says 41 hot new hits, because there's 41 songs, 21 on CD1, 20 on CD2. But the inlay card, which is clearer if you open the case, accidentally says 40 hot new hits instead. But it shouldn't be, there's 41. And not only that, but this whole thing is clearly aligned too far to the right and too far up. Because when you close the case, this whole thing should be in the centre, but it's too far to the right. And the 2 CD logo obscures that mistake 40 number as well. Now 38 has a mistake which isn't even in the artwork, so it's not something I can show you. But on CD2, a lot of the songs begin maybe a split second before the track number actually changes over. So the very beginning of them will actually be just at the end of the previous track. I think it's most obvious with Robbie's sort of great psych popish Lazy Days, because that begins with a d-d-d-d, with the first d being at the end of Choose Life. I don't know if it's all pressings, but mine is EMI Swindon, which I like because I live near Swindon. From late 1998, Now 41 is a strange case where, if I open up the booklet, as you can see, a lot of the pages don't have a background. They're just plain white. You know, clearly pages on the left should have this background, and pages on the right should have this one. That's how all other Now CDs are done. A stock left page background and a stock right page background. And some of them do. But for some reason, some of them don't. I guess there was a mistake before the presses or something where they didn't all show up. I'm wondering if for some reason it's because throughout the booklet they use black text, whereas they use a much more suitable white on the back cover, which is easier to read, right? So I don't think there's any other Now albums that have that discrepancy, but I know I said I wasn't going to focus too much on different spellings and names, but what I think is interesting is for Mr. Wazzo, They've spelled M-I-S-T-E-R rather than M-R. And I don't think on any of his own releases he ever spells it like that. It should be M-R Wazzo. I'm including this for a friend who is a big Wazzo fan, by the way. Into 2000 now, and we start with a mistake that's a bit like the Now 36 ones, but sort of done the opposite way. So open up the booklet, skip straight to CD2 track 19, the Peel endorsed Amsterdam sampling C vs I by the Cuban Boys. And you can see actually 19 Cuban Boys appears a page too early before the actual image and the rest of the write-up, you know. Not only that, but the CDs themselves have a big mistake. They're both copyrighted 1999, see? Maybe this is the Millennium Bug in effect. Because although Now 45 was the first Now album of 2000, it actually had one of the latest spring dates, release dates of any spring edition, 17th of April. Easter was very late that year, same day as St. George's Day, and the first Now album of any year is usually released a week ahead of Easter. So yeah, with all the spring editions, they get the year wrong. They had to pick the one that was like the furthest into the year. Now 46 from summer 2000 has one in the booklet, CD2 track 2. The Immortal Screwjet by Spiller. Skip to said song. And the song, of course, features the singing of Sophie Ellis-Bextor before she was sort of famous in her own right. But in the booklet, they've minced her surname here as Sophie Ellis-Bextor. It's Bextor, not Baxter. Now, again, there isn't an artwork mistake that I'm aware of here, but I'm more interested in using this juncture to talk about times when swear words left in Now albums. Because the first pressing of Now 49 mistakenly had the F word left in The Rock Show by Blink-182 here. And once the creators realised, they recalled the edition and replaced it with a new version with the clean radio edit. And you can tell the two versions of Now 49 apart because from the packaging, because on the original edition, the artists were all in bold, whereas the clean version, they're not. And as you can tell, this is a clean version, which I bought from a HMV sale in 2005. This might be a good time to mention some of the other times that Now albums have seemingly gone for an explicit version when a radio edit is available, a clean version. So the F word appears again on, I think, Freak by George Michael on 52, and Can't Stand Me Now or by the Libertines on 59. And shit appears a few times. Mayor's Case of the X on 48. Sugar Babes, Hole in the Head on 56. Laura by Scissor Sisters on 58. I think actually they got Scissor Sisters edits wrong a lot. I think Bastard appears on She's My Man on 66. So I don't remember, this is not a comprehensive list, but I do remember those. And I know Justin Timberlake does a shit it on Timbaland's Give It To Me on 67 as well. And going back to that Cuban Boys one on Now 45, which had its booklet mistake, well, it's actually the wrong edit as well, because it has the little bastards bit at the end, which was not the version that they included, Virgin EMI included on Smash Hits 2000. So I'm assuming they didn't mean to include the dirty one on Now 45. And it's not a mistake as such, because I'm not sure if this is the only radio edit, but Now 39 is quite infamous from 98, because Prince Igor by Warren G, the edit has half the swear words taken out and the other half left in. And some of the worst words are left in, so that's quite famous, that one, I think. At this point, I'll show you a bit of Now trivia. So my Now 49 is the clean version, but some editions, regardless of clean or dirty, of Now 49 and Now 48 and Now 47 have an interesting thing on it. You can see it saying produced using Ecotricity. That's a symbol here. There you go, there it is, Ecotricity. So some of them were, but not all editions of the album actually have that little symbol on it, so quite strange. Right, but that's enough waffling. Back to the actual booklet mistakes. 2003's Now 55 has a strange one on the back cover, where the O in 42 top chart hits has a thicker outline than any of the other letters, or numerals. 42 to up chart hits. And it's the same with the inlay card as well. If you look really closely, they've repeated it here. 42 to up chart hits. Very strange. The third Now album I ever owned after Now Decades and 56 was Now 57. And it has maybe the most famous booklet mistake of all Now albums. So CD2 track 9 is Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand. But if you go to their write-up in the booklet, we going? Here we go. Glasgow's Franz Ferdinand, as all historians know, take their name from the Austrian Archduke whose murder kick-started World War II in 1914. Now, I know the events of World War I did lead to World War II, but it would still be inaccurate to say that his death kick-started a war that didn't begin for another 25 years. There's a mistake on the ringtones page of Now 58. Now, for context, every Now album from I think 54 to 72 used to have ringtones available for each song on the album, usually but not always the original recording, and they list them here when you open the case on the back of the booklet. Anyway, track 10 on this album is Hey Mama by the Black Eyed Peas, spelled M-A-M-A, as it should be, but in the booklet under the ringtones it's M-A-M-M-A. They've misnamed the song. Now 60 has an even bigger mistake on the booklet's page. So the end of CD 1, track 19 is Shine, and track 20 is the great Need to Feel Loved by Reflect. 22 tracks. If you open the booklet up, between Shine and Need to Feel Loved is this whole other song called On a Good Thing that doesn't appear on the album. The track itself was a track by one C64, that was their name. And obviously it was meant to be included on the Now album, as you can tell from this, but it was pulled at the last minute and it only got to number 54. So that would explain that, but they accidentally left the name of the song here, a ringtone available for it. So CD1 almost had 23 songs, but there you are. Now 61 has the opposite problem. So the end of CD1, track 20 is this flop Jack Johnson song that only got to number 50 or something. And track 21 is U2, Sometimes You Can't Make It On Your Own. But if you look at the ringtones, there isn't a ringtone for U2, Sometimes You Can't Make It On Your Own. It ends with Jack Johnson. I'm convinced that's a mistake because all the other U2 hits from the Atomic Bomb album had ringtones on Now albums. Those were on Now 60, 62 and 63. And also, speaking of the U2 song, for the write-up, it says something quite strange for them, saying it was their third UK #1 in recent times, following Vertigo and Take Me to the Clouds Above at LMC. Now, that's fair enough. It's not technically wrong, but Take Me to the Clouds Above isn't a proper U2 #1 though, is it? It's them being sampled. But that's just me thinking that's a weird sentence. 2006 is Now 63. So CD2, 19 songs. You Got the Love, Grow and Heartbeats are the last 3 songs. 17, 18 and 19. But if you go to the back of the booklet, they've mistakenly jumped track number. So it goes like 16, 17, 19, 20. Next to the images, not next to the write-ups, but just the images. So, I mean, yeah, that should be 18 and that should be 19. There isn't 20 songs. Although there could have been 20 songs. It's only 69 minutes, this CD2. So, I don't know, strange. Now 65 has some weird spacing for Lily Allen, who is on CD2, when you look at the credits page at the start of the booklet. So, between her name and the name of the song, LDN, it's just this weird space for some reason. And if you skip to the write-ups and go to CD2, track 14, David Guetta and the Egg, Love Don't Let Me Go, Walking Away, because it's a mashup between David Guetta's Love Don't Let Me Go and the Egg's Walking Away. But when they come to mention that in the write-up, it says Fusion, Parisian, DJ David's 2002, Dance It, Love Won't Let Me Go. And obviously that should be Don't Let Me Go. Into 2007. And I have quite a few to show you from Now 66 because I was wise enough to write down the ones that were pointed out on the forum at the time. So that was very wise of me. So we'll start quite straight away. We'll go to track 11. So Calvin Harris. Here it's acceptable in the 80s spelt correctly, whereas on the back cover they put an apostrophe in ATC, which shouldn't be there. Skip a page to track number 18 by Seamus Haji, Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. And they've put at the end, the song looks set to storm the charts in late March 2006. Obviously that should be 2007. The song is from 2007. This is all, we're in 2007, mate, so they've got that wrong. Go a page over to Gwen Stefani, and they've misspelled original. So the sassy lady from Orange County took her original version of Wind It Up. They missed that one. And one I never would have known if it wasn't someone that pointed it out. They put that JoJo, the next track. So if it is blah, 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 blah. at the now ripe old age of 15. Apparently she was actually 16 by this point, so yeah. If you move over to CD2, you'll see that February is misspelt for the fray. So the band toured with The Feeling in March 2007. It's missing the first R there. And then the same happens for Fall Out Boy. It reached number 2 in the UK charts in February 2007. And then skip towards, I think it's track 20, Amy Winehouse. It says, You Know I'm No Good is the follow-up to the storming number 1 hit, Rehab. Rehab wasn't a number 1. It only got to number 7, surprisingly. So the next edition has one I picked up from the forum as well, regarding CD2 track 17, Klaxons, with their cover of the Immortal. Not over yet, but they mistakenly put an It's in the name. Oh well. Skip to their page in the booklet, and it says, blah, 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 blah. The version of Grace's 90s club anthem gave them a second 2007 hit following Golden Scans. It's actually their third hit of 2007. In the meantime, there was Gravity's Rainbow. And also, look, they've put their version of Grace's It's Not Over Yet. Well, It wasn't in the original name of the song. It's only in the Klaxons name. We now bow out of the ringtones era with CD1, track 21, Waiting For by Peter Gelderblom, which samples By the Way by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So in a sense, that's their only appearance on a Now album. But yeah, it's called Waiting For. But in the ringtones page, they've called it Waiting For You. And I don't know where that U's come from, because it isn't in the lyrics, but there it is. It shouldn't be there. Now 69 has a mistake throughout, which I don't even need to open the booklet for, but CD2 is apologised. They've credited it to Timbaland Presents One Republic, but it's just the version with One Republic, not the version with Timbaland, which was the hit version. But The Great Now 70 from summer 2008. CD1 closes with Violet Hill by Coldplay. But if you actually look at the booklet, under the write-up, there's a couple of misspellings for them. So, scored that, blah, 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 blah. Is that they've misspelled downloads, so there's no N in it, so it's downloads, and then they misspelled title is tittle. Both sides of the Atlantic, and downloads, so the tittle track gave them their first chart-topping hit here in Britain. Into 2009 now, and CD2, track 16 and now 72, is Heartless, of course by Kanye, but they've got the name of his album wrong under the write-ups, so it should be 808s and Heartbreak. But here they've said that it's from his critically acclaimed album 808 and Heartbreaks. So they've pluralised the wrong word. As though the album was actually about the heartbreaks of numerous people all over the same 808 beat. So yeah, they minced the Kanye album title, and we do the same on Now 73. Kasabian Fire is CD2 track 14. But in the booklet, which is the first one not to have ringtones, as you'll have noticed, they call their album, where are we looking? From the West Rider Pauper Lunatic Asylum, but there's no the in the name. There's no definite article. It should just be West Rider Pauper Lunatic Asylum. Not only that, but go to the start of the album, Cascada, they've minced the name as Evacuate the Dance Floor, but the song, if you look at the back cover, actually has dance floor is one word, so it's a little bit like fairy tale again. And there are 4 more mistakes in this booklet that I remember some of them from the forum, but the reason I remember them is because they're on the Now wiki, the Now music fandom. So yeah, still sticking with the same Now album for LaRue, track 5, In For The Kill. It says was the band's debut single. Yeah, but it was their first single was actually an obscure track called Quicksand, which only got to number 129 in the chart. So first hit would have been better wording. Skip to Alicia Dixon. So on the back cover, the song name, CD1 track 17, is Let's Get Excited. That's the correct name. But in the booklet, they've got it as Let's Get It Started, which is Black Eyed Peas, isn't it? And then there's another misnaming at the end here. There's a Stick With Each Other by Chantel with Akon. On the same page, it says, it followed up with Stuck With You, a massive debut hit t-shirt single with Stuck With You, when obviously it should be Stuck With Each Other. One I never would have got unless I hadn't read the thing. But for her, Carrie Hilson, it says her first UK solo single is the song featured "Knock You Down." Yeah, about the charts website suggests it was her second as a lead artist to chart after Return the Favour. Apparently there was one or more non-charting UK singles before that as well. So that's it as far as I can remember for like main series editions. So I'm going to move on to a few special editions now. So Now Smash Hits, which was released in 1987, which, as you can guess, was a team up with Smash Hits. And as such, the booklet write-ups are written with the sort of humour and archness typical of Smash Hits, because otherwise why would they even be involved, right? Anyway, there's a few mistakes throughout the booklet, and we'll start at the back. So there's lists of producers. So the producers are all listed for CD2 with compact disc 2 mentioned, but CD1 has no compact disc 1 above it. So they buggered that one up. So if you open up the booklet and go to CD1 track 12, Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears, they've correctly italicized the album name, Songs from the Big Chair, but they've mistakenly also italicized second LP. But that isn't part of the album name, is it? It's Songs from the Big Chair. And if you skip to CD2, track 6, this isn't a proper mistake, just more of an oversight. But they credit ABC for their early success for it. It gave the world Trevor Horn. It didn't, did it? Because he'd already had success with the Buggles and Dollar by the time he started working with ABC. So, strange one. If you skip then to the next page and go to Haircut 100, favourite shirts, Boy Meets Girl. But they haven't put a closed bracket at the end of girl, like they should, closed parenthesis. You know, if Boy Meets Girl was a maths equation in computing, you'd really need to close that bracket or it would all fall apart. And for Ghost Town here, if you note throughout all of them, the artist names and song names tend to be in uppercase. Haircut 100, The Jam, and they start doing that with the specials, but then the second time when they mention them, they accidentally italicize their name instead. And then another mistake here, Amp Music by Adam Ant. But if you look elsewhere in the artwork, like on the back cover, that song is actually credited to Adam and the Ants, as it should, because it's by Adam and the Ants, it's not an Adam Ant solo song. There were anniversary editions in 1993 to celebrate 10 years of Now. One edition chronicling a different year from 83 to 93. And the Now 92 one has a couple of mistakes that I remembered because of Pop Fans Dream, which is a great compilations blog, which I highly recommend. They have a lot of Now stuff on there. But on the back cover, the Curtis Tigers song on CD1 is listed as I Wonder Why, which is correct. That is the song on the album. But if you look at the booklet, it becomes You're All That Matters to Me. So that's wrong. And a similar thing happens on CD2 with Vanessa Paradis. Her song is Be My Baby, which is correct. But in the booklet, they accidentally list it as Joe La Taxi, which is from 1988. And they've even said here that Help Mastermind has come back. Her first hit was Joe La Taxi. So yeah, they've got the name wrong there. Even after 10 years were done, they did an edition for 94 and an edition for 95 as well. This might just be my copy of this, because every scan I've seen in this online is different. But on my back cover, there was clearly an O there, isn't there? In line with No Good Start the Dance. It isn't, it's not a print. It's not like there's something stuck on it on the back cover. That is printed. So I don't know what that's about, but I've not found another edition that has that. Strange. Now Dance 98 is... well, it's sort of famous because it has the same song on it twice. Music Sounds Better With You. The radio edit is track 1. And then there's a DJ sneak mix down here on CD2. That's not that notable. I used to be really freaked out, not freaked out, but fascinated by it when I was a lot younger. I even put it on Wikipedia, I think. But that's because Stardust would only license the track to Virgin compilations if they included it twice on the same album once in a different version. So this is no different than, In the Mix of Ibiza or the Best Club Anthems 99 Ever or numerous other compilations, that they all have it twice. At the time anyway. But that's not the mistake, sorry. The mistake is 21 tracks on both discs. Up and Down is track 21 by Venga Boys. But if you open the booklet up, they've accidentally, down here at the credits, mistakenly said it is track 22. So it goes 19, 20, 22. That is wrong. So in 1999, to celebrate the millennium, they once again did the special edition for every year, but this time it went back to 1980. So there was edition from 80 to 99. So this is all stuff from 1998. However, in the booklet, what they started doing with these editions is they did sort of have a little analysis of the year for each year, sort of saying songs that were hits. And in the 1998 edition, they make a big mistake because they talk about U2 return to the chart with a brand new album, the dance-oriented to pop, and the single discotheque. Now, all of that is from 1997, from the start of 97, so, and it's not on this album or anything, because it's from 1997, so I don't know why they're talking about it here. But there is a much bigger mistake with this, which isn't related to the booklet. No. What it is if you put on, I think it's CD2, it actually plays CD1 of now 1999. Obviously, these whole things were quite hurried, so that there was a lot of mistakes made. In maybe not with the booklets. I think that's the only booklet mistake I can think of is the U2 one. But for the actual pressing, yeah, it plays the wrong disc entirely. And now 1982, the Millennium Edition, which I can't find to show you for some reason, but that has a mistake on the back cover, where a lot of the songs on CD2 are the wrong way to how they actually are on the disc, because Junior, with the classic, front classic Mama used to say, is listed as track 8 on CD2, but it's actually track 12, meaning that all the songs which are listed as tracks 9 to 12 are actually track 8 to 11, so they've put that one in the wrong place. But thanks for watching. Those are the ones that I can remember. I know there's more I can't remember, I think particularly in our 70s, so if you know of any mistakes that I've forgotten or just never knew about in the first place, please leave a comment. I'd love to see them and sort of get this conversation going. I know it's very niche, but I like it. But yeah, thank you for watching.